الكلام هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع، وأقسامه ثلاثة: اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى، فالاسم يعرف بالخفض.
الحمد لله حمدا لا ينفد، أفضل ما ينبغي أن يحمد، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تعبد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربي زدنا علما، ربي زدنا علما، ربي زدنا علما، آمين. ما بعد. Inshallah, today is the first lesson from our class in the book Al-Ajrumiyah, which is found in the third level, Mutun Talibul Ilmi. So we will be relying upon tahqiq of Dr. Abdul Muhsin ibn Muhammad al-Qasim, who is the Imam of Masjid al-Nabawi. So I have it here, inshallah. So we'll scroll down to where the book is, Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ajrumiyah. So firstly, what I want to speak about is who should study this book. Firstly, what is this book actually? What is this book? And also, who should study it? After that, we'll go into the book straight away. So what is this book? This book, as we can see here, it is called Al-Muqaddimatu Al-Ajrumiyah. It is an introductory book in the Arabic grammar, written by a scholar who was well known as Ibn Ajurrum. And so this book was named after him, Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ajrumiyah. His name was actually Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Sinhaji. And he was from the ulama of Al-Maghrib, the ulama located in Morocco. And he was a scholar in many different fields, Arabic language, qira'at, and so on. And this book, it is a book in Ilmun Nahu. It is a book in Ilmun Nahu, in the science of Arabic grammar. And it is a beginner book. So usually students who are at the beginning, who have not studied Arabic grammar before, this is one of the first mutun that they will come across. So that answers for us what is this book? It's a book in Arabic grammar. So it's a book that is basically it's technical. So it has the technical rules of Arabic grammar. So this book is not about speaking or reading. This book is about learning the rules of Arabic grammar. And who should study it? This book is for students who are beginner in the Arabic language, but at the same time, it is necessary to have to be able to form basic sentences in the Arabic language. So your level should be basic to intermediate. So someone who studied, for example, Bayn Yadik Book 1, Medina Book 1 and 2, this book is suitable for them to now to begin studying. If you've never studied any Arabic before, you don't know how to make sentences at all, I would not recommend beginning with this. After you study Al-Muqaddimah Wal-Ajrumiyah, the next book to study after this is a book called Sharh Qatar al-Nada wa Balli al-Sada Ibn Hisham al-Ansari. This is another intermediate level book in grammar. And then after that, the student can go to Al-Fiyat ibn Malik. He can take the well-known explanation in the book Al-Fiyat ibn Malik, for example, Sharh ibn Aqil. But as for this book here, Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ajrumiyah, it is from the beginner level books in Arabic grammar. Sheikh Salih Al-Usaymi, he says that the author's name is Ibn Ajurram. So the book is called Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ajrumiyah instead of Al-Ajrumiyah. And this is according to his research. Wallahu a'lam. So we have here the tahqiq of Sheikh Abdul Muhsin ibn Qasim, who is the Imam of and the Khatib of Masjid al-Nabawi. And he did tahqiqat of a number of small mutun, which he compiled, which is well known as the Mutun Talib al-Ilm, which a beginner student of knowledge will study. And so this book here, it is a beginner book to study. So let's get straight into it. inshallah ta'ala. So the author, he started off by saying, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The basmala, the reason why it's got to start with the basmala is because they follow the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that every matter that does not begin with the Bismillah, it will be deficient in barakah. So this is one of the reasons why they mentioned the basmala. And as this is a beginner class, it's not appropriate for us now to break down the basmala, as the students won't be able to fully grasp it. So inshallah, that'll be left, that will be taken in the more advanced books. Then the author, he says, after saying the basmala, he says, Al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wad'i. So since we're studying Arabic grammar, we need to know, where do we apply the rules of Arabic grammar? So that is why he starts speaking about something called al-kalamu. Al-kalam, it means the speech. So Arabic speech, it is the place where we're going to apply the rules that we're going to learn in this book. And that is the reason why he began starting the book by speaking about al-kalam, Arabic speech. And so he starts to define it. He says, al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wad'i. As you can see, he mentions four things. He mentions al-lafdhu, al-murakkab, al-mufid, bil-wad'. So these four things, they describe for us, or they give us the complete definition of what Arabic speech is. And this is according to this definition that he has given us. It is according to the Arabic grammarians. So this is a technical definition which the Arabic grammarians have formulated. So the first thing he describes about al-kalam is that it is al-lafdhu. The speech in the Arabic language, it is something called al-lafdh. The word al-lafdhu, you can translate it to mean utterance, the utterance. Utterance, yani something that you utter on your mouth. Al-lafdhu, the definition of al-lafdh is a sound that comes out of your mouth and it contains some of the letters of the Arabic language. صوت يخرج من الفم ويشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية. It is some, so we'll write it in English, inshallah. So it's a sound that originates from your mouth, and it contains some Arabic letters. So as I was saying, al-lafdhu is a sound that originates from your mouth and it contains some Arabic letters. So for kalam, Arabic speech, according to the grammarians, it has to originate from your mouth. If you do, for example, some sort of gesture with your hands or otherwise, it's not considered to be speech. Or if there's a sign, neither is that considered to be speech. Or if you do writing, that is not considered to be al-kalam, Arabic speech, according to the grammarians. So it has to, number one, originate from your mouth, according to the word al-lafdhu. Then it has to be al-murakkab. It has to be al-murakkab. Al-murakkabu. Al-murakkab means compounded. Compounded, what that means is something which is made up of two or more other things. A compound, something which is considered to be compounded, is something which is made up of two or more of other things. So what al-murakkab means is the Arabic speech, it must contain two or more Arabic words. So al-kalam not only has to be something that originates from your mouth, it has to have at least 2 or more Arabic words. So if I say to you now, Zaydun, Zaydun, the word Zayd, the name Zayd, is this Arabic speech according to the grammarians? According to al-lafz, it would be, because it originated from my mouth. But it does not contain 2 or more words. It's only 1 word. So therefore, it would not be considered to be Arabic speech at that point. But if I said Zaydun qa'imun, Zayd is standing. Okay, now it would be considered to be, as Arabic speech, because not only was it a sound coming from my mouth, it was compounded and made up of 2 or more words. Then the author, he said, هو اللفظ المركب المفيد. المفيد. Al-Mufid, it means beneficial. Beneficial. And what the author means by beneficial is that the sentence or the statement that I've made, it is a complete statement and there is no extra information that I need to give. In the sense that, for example, if I say to you, if I say Aina, the word Aina, Aina means where. If I say Aina by itself, where? Now it is a lafz coming out of my word, out of my mouth. However, it is not murakkab, number 1. It's only 1 word, not 2 words. And neither is it beneficial, because if I say Aina, if I just ask you a question where, you're going to respond back to me, where's what? You're going to require more information. So it's not beneficial. But if I say to you now, Aina, Aina Zaydun, where is Zayd? Now it has become a lafz, an utterance from my mouth, murakkab, 2 or more words, and in this case, it's beneficial. You're not waiting for any more information. You understand what I said, and you can give me an appropriate response to this question. So you might say, for example, I don't know where Zayd is, or Zayd is in such and such a place. Finally, the author, he said, bil wad'i, over here, bil wad. And bil wad basically means that the speech is in the Arabic language, and it is according to the definitions of the Arabic language as well. This is what bil wad means. So I'll give some examples right now on the board. So if we say, for example, Zaydun fi. Zayd is in. If I say to you, Zayd is in, would this be considered Arabic speech? Zayd is in. Well, because it came from my mouth, you would consider it to be, it's al-lafz. And it has 2 words, so it's al-murakkab. But is it mufid? Is it beneficial? Or are you still waiting for more information? Does it meet this particular condition here, al-mufid? Zaydun fi, Zayd is in. Well, actually, it's not beneficial because you're still waiting for more information to be given to you. Zaydun fi, for example, you might say Zaydun fil masjidi. Zaydun fil masjidi. Zayd is in the mosque. Now the condition of al-mufid, of something being beneficial and have a complete meaning, has been met. And is it in the Arabic language with the Arabic meanings? Bil wad, yes. So this would be considered to be a full, complete sentence. Zaydun fil masjidi. But if I simply said Zaydun fi and stop there, then it's missing the condition of al-mufid. What if I was to write to you, Ja'a جاء محمد. Muhammad came. If I wrote to you something like this, جاء محمد, is this considered to be Arabic speech? The answer is no, it wouldn't be. And the reason for that is because it is not a lafz. It is not a يعني. If I write it to you, it's not a lafz, يعني. It's not an utterance out of the mouth. Rather, it's something that I wrote to you. But if I said to you now, جاء محمد, Muhammadun came. In that case, it would be a lafz, an utterance from the mouth. It's murakkab, containing two words. It's mufid, yani has a complete meaning. And bil wad, according to the Arabic language. Then the author, after explaining what al-kalam is, he goes into, yani, he goes into the components from which al-kalam is made of. So al-kalam, we said it means the speech, Arabic speech. And it is made up of certain components. So the author says, وَأَقْسَامُهُ ثَلَاثَةٌ اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. And its types are three. Yani the types of kalam, that which kalam is made up of is three types of things. اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. And an ism, a fi'l, a harf, جاء لمعنى. So al-kalam, it can either contain an ism, a fi'l, or a harf. And this is the well-known يعني, principle that we all learn in the beginning of when we're studying the Arabic language, the types of words. And then now this categorization, you can either say types of words, يعني al-kalima, or you can say types of kalam, that which kalam is made up of. Ismun wa fi'lun wa harfun, يعني, because these three things, they will come together to form Arabic speech. So ismun, so what are these three things? Ism, fi'l, harf. Ism, you can translate it to be noun, fi'l, verb, and harf is particle. The definition of the ism, the noun, the sentence they give in Arabic is ما دل على معنى في نفسه ولم يقترن بزمن. It is a word that has a meaning within itself, but does not connect to time. The ism, the noun, is a word that has a meaning within itself but does not connect to time. An example would be Zaydun, Baytun, Makkatu, etc. So all of these words, Zayd, which is the name of a boy or a man, Bayt, which is a house, and Mecca, which is a city, these are all nouns because they have a meaning within themselves, but they do not connect to time. When you think of these items, these three things, they do not connect to the past tense, present tense, or future tense. So this is what is considered to be an ism. And then the author, the second type is fi'l. Fi'lun, which means verb. In Arabic, they say ما دل على معنى في نفسه ويقترن بزمن. It is a word that has a meaning within itself and connects to time. And it connects to time. Now, for us in the English language, a verb is basically a doing word. It's an action that a person does. So for example, in Arabic, you can command someone to iqra. You can command them to read or recite. Read or recite. Now, number one, is there a meaning there? Yes, there is. Because reading, you understand the meaning to read or recite something. It's an action, you take a piece of text and then you will read it. You look at the words and you will say them verbally together, or you will just recite it. This is the meaning of reading or reciting something. And does it connect to a time? In this case, when you command someone to iqra, read, the action has not taken place yet, but you are asking them to start the action. So even if it isn't the immediate scenario, it will be considered to be the future tense. So the future case, the future tense. But there are other verbs that can show present tense and also past tense. For example, kataba. Kataba means he wrote. So if someone says kataba, he wrote, this is past tense. It has the meaning of an action to take some sort of tool and to write on a page or something like similar to that. And then, it connects to time, in the past tense. So a person did the action of writing in the past tense. Kataba, he wrote. This is the meaning of the ism and the fi'l. As for the harf, the definition of harf will be presented on the following page of the book. So in that case, we will leave it till then. But the author, he says something. He says harfun ja'ali ma'na, and that I will also explain it when we come to the next page where the definition of al-harf is presented. Then the author, he begins to give you signs in order to differentiate between the three types of words. So how do I know when a word is going to be an ism, a fi'l, or a harf? How can I differentiate between the three types of words? So he gives you signs. So he says the first signs that he gives you for is the ism. So these are, you can put in brackets, alamat. These are basically signs which the noun will be known by. So noun, signs for the noun. Signs to recognize the noun. So he says, فَالْإِسْمُ, as for the ism, the noun, يُعْرَفُ, it is known by, it is distinguished by, بِالْخَفْضِ, with the khafd, which is number one, the first sign, وَالتَّنْوِينِ, number two, the second sign, وَدُخُولُ الْأَلِفِ وَاللَّامِ عَلَيْهِ, which is the third sign, وَحُرُوفُ الْخَفْضِ, which is the fourth sign. And then he begins to list what these are. من وإلى وعن وعلى وفي ورب والباء والكاف واللام وحروف القسم. This one you can say it's the fifth sign, but really it's a continuation of number four. It's a continuation of the fourth sign. So what are these signs? فالاسم يعرف بالخفض. الخفض, so the first sign is الخفض. الخفض يعني الكسرة. الخفض يعني الكسرة. If you find on the end of a noun, on the end of a word, if you find on the end of a word that there is a kasra, this will usually be a sign that this word is a noun. So for example, in Surah Al-Fatiha, the first ayah is Alhamdu Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. The praise, all of the praise belongs to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So if you break it word for word, you have Alhamdu, you have the word Lillahi, you have the word Rabbi, and you have the word Al-Alameen. So which of these words end in kasra? The word Allah, Lafzul Jalala, the honored name of Allah, and the word Rabbi, both end in kasra. So therefore, these are considered to be nouns. But that's not to say that the other words here, Alhamdu and Al-Alamina, are not nouns, but according to this sign, this is one sign that we have so far, kasra. Al-Khaftu means kasra. It also means signs which replace kasra as well. So Al-Khaftu means kasra or signs which replace kasra. And the signs which replace kasra, we will learn it in Bab al-I'rabi, which is coming up in the next chapter after in this book, in this matan. So we will come to know what it is. So as for the signs that replace kasra or that are included in the meaning of khaft, we'll learn later on, inshallah. But the original sign of al-khaft is al-kasra. So if you find a word that has a kasra on the end of it, this is a sign that this word is a noun, it's an ism. Then the author, he says, what tanween? So the first sign was khaft. Second sign is tanween. Tanween. I'll write that out again. This is a bit messy. At-tanween. And at-tanween, it is dammatain, 2 dammas, fathatain, 2 fathas, and kasratain, 2 kasras. So if we find on the end of a word 2 dammas, 2 fathas, or 2 kasras, this is a sign that that word is a noun. For example, if I say to you, baytun. This word bayt, it means a house. Is this a noun, a verb, or a particle? It's a noun. Okay, what's the evidence to say it's a noun? Well, tanween. Because we find tanween here, we haven't got kasra, we haven't got al-khaft, which is kasra, but we got tanween, the second sign, another sign. So then we can confirm that this is it's a noun, it's an ism. Then the author says, وَدُخُولُ الْأَلِفِ وَاللَّامِ عَلَيْهِ. So the word baytun, if I add alif wa lam, dukhul alif wa lam. Dukhul means entering, al-alif wal lam, of alif and lam upon it. So if I have the word baytun and I add alif wa lam to it, it will become al-baytu. Al-baytu, the house. So what is the sign that the word al-baytu is a noun? Well, it hasn't got kasra, but it hasn't got tanween, but it does have alif wa lam. So alif wa lam is a sign that that particular word is going to be a noun. And by learning that particular sign, we can also identify that in the first example that I gave, alhamdu and al-alamina are both nouns as well, because they both have alif wa lam and alif wa lam. So now with these signs, al-khaftu, which is kasra, and then you have tanween and alif wa lam. If you find these on the words, then it will be considered a noun. And don't forget that tanween has to be found on the end of the word, kasra has to be found on the end of the word, and al has to be found on the start of the word. If you find a kasra in the middle of the word, like here al-alamina, this kasra on the meme has no effect. It's not a sign of this word being a noun or a verb or a particle otherwise. Noun. It has to be on the end of the word for kasra, end of the word for tanween, and then alif wa lam is found at the beginning of the word, start of the word. The fourth sign given to us to identify the noun is وحروف الخفض وهي من وإلى وعن وعلى وفي ورب والباء والكاف واللام. So what is حروف الخفض? حروف الخفض. So the word of al-khafd, so the word huruf is basically the plural of the word harfun. Harf. Harf meant particle. So huruf means particles, it's plural. Al-khafd, it meant kasra. So these are basically particles of kasra. I'll just write it here. So huruf al-khafd means particles of kasra. Yani, these particular particles, these words that have been listed for us, they cause the word after it to end in kasra. And because these words have affected the word after it, it is a sign that the word after it is going to be a noun. So I'll give an example. If I say to you, Muhammadun fil masjidi. Muhammadun fil masjidi. Muhammad is in the mosque. Muhammadun fil masjidi. Muhammad is in the mosque. So this word al-masjid, what signs do we have to tell us that this word al-masjid is it a noun, verb, or particle? Well, first we have alif wa lam to tell us it's a noun. We also have that the word ends in kasra. But an additional sign is fi. Fi. Fi is from the huruf al-khafd. It is from the particles that cause the word after it to end in kasra. Fi, this particular harf, it means in. Fi means in. So these particles, this particle here, and the ones that are like this one here, cause the word after it, the following word, to end in kasra. So the last letter will take kasra. It will end in kasra. So because this particular word, al-masjid, was affected by the word fi, then this word al-masjid, it is this sign of fi being present and affecting the word al-masjid makes the word al-masjid into a noun. So we're not saying the fi is the noun. What we're saying is that the word that the fi affects is the noun. So affected the word after it, so that is considered to be a noun as well. And the sign for that is fi. So here we have a list of huruf al-khafd. Min. Min means from. Ila means to. An means about. Ala means upon. Fi means in. Rubba means maybe. Al-ba'u means with. Al-kafu means like. Al-lamu means for or belongs to. Inshallah, we can go for examples of this in another time. But like I said, as this book is for a student who has studied, for example, Medina Book 1 or 2 or the Bani Dik books, it should make sense to them what is being mentioned. And also you have the huruf al-qasm. Huruf al-qasm, we all know about it. Al-wa'u, al-wawu, wal-ba'u, wal-ta'u. You say, for example, Wallahi. Wallahi, when you want to swear an oath, you say by Allah. And you use these particles, waw and ba and ta. So this waw made the word after it, the word name of Allah, end in kasra. So therefore, this word Allah is going to be considered a noun. Because it was affected by this harf, it's also considered to be a noun. Allah, we as the khalq, the creation, we are only allowed to swear by Allah. But Allah as the creator, he can swear and take oath upon his creation. And that is why we find in the Quran, for example, وَاللَّيْلِ وَاللَّيْلِ وَاللَّيْلِ, and by the night, وَالْفَجْرِ, and by the dawn, وَالْفَجْرِ, So why did the word so this wow, this particle of oath affected the word after it. It was used for the word after it, wal fajr. So that shows that this word al fajr is a noun, because the particle of oath, which is wa, can only enter upon a noun. So because these particles can enter upon a noun only, therefore any word that it affects and enters upon is considered to be a noun. Then the author, he says, وَالْفِعْلُ يُعْرَفُ بِقَدْ وَسِينْ وَسَوْفَ وَتَاء تَنِيثِ السَّاكِنَةِ وَالْحَرْفُ مَا لَا يَصْلُحُ مَعَهُ دليل الاسم ولا دليل الفعل. ما لا يصلح. So for some reason the PDF that I have here is not displaying correctly. There is a missing letter. It should say والحرف ما لا يصلح معه دليل الاسم ولا دليل الفعل. So the author then mentions the signs for the fi'l, the verb, and then the harf. So let's look at the verb. He mentions qad, he mentions seen, he mentions sawfa, and he mentions ta'nith as-sakina. So first we have qad. Qad has a few meanings. It can mean emphasis, for example, surely or verily, like the ayah, قد أفلح المؤمنون. قد أفلح المؤمنون. Verily, the believers have been successful. So this word of qad, because it entered upon the word after it, and it was used to emphasize the word after, then that is a sign that the word after it is a fi'l, a verb, because it can only be used for verbs. So if it can only be used for verbs, whenever we find it being used and affecting a word, then that word has to be considered a verb. So aflaha is a verb. Then we have seen and sawfa. Seen and sawfa is used to show the future tense. So for example, I can say sa'aqra'u. Sa'aqra'u. I will read. Or I can say sawfa aqra'u. They both have the same meaning. They both mean I will read. So the thing that's making the word aqra'u into future tense is the seen and the sawfa in both cases. And because they're only used for verbs, therefore the word being affected by it is going to be considered a verb. And then finally we have ta' ta'nith as-sakina. The ta' ta'nith as-sakina is found in the past tense fi'lu madin, in the past tense verb. We'll come to learn a bit more about the past tense verb later on in this book. But for example, if I say dhahaba, dhahaba means he went. How do I make the word dhahaba into she went? I add a ta' ta'nith as-sakina. So for example, it becomes dhahabat. This ta here, which is the open ta maftuha with a sakina, with a sukun. This is what is called ta' ta'nith as-sakina. It's a ta, which is for ta'nith, it makes it feminine, and it's sakina, it has sukun on it. So it means dhahaba becomes dhahabat, she went, he went, and she went. So this ta, because it attached to the word dhahaba, it shows that the word dhahaba is a verb as well. In this particular case, it's going to be a fi'lu madin, a past tense verb. Then the author, he speaks about the harf. He defines it and says to you, وَالْحَرْفُ مَا لَا يَصْلُحُ مَعَهُ دَلِيلُ الْإِسْمِ وَلَا دَلِيلُ الْفِعْلِ. The harf, the particle, it is that which the sign of the ism and the sign of the verb cannot be applied to it. So if I have a word which I cannot apply one of the signs of the verb one of the signs of the ism, the noun, then therefore this word that I have, if it can't take either of the signs from the ism and the fi'l, any of the signs, then it's considered to be a harf. It is considered to be a harf. Now this may seem difficult because you may think, okay, I can enter any, if I have the word min is a harf, for example, and it means from. So why can't I just say qad min, verily from? And to you as a beginner student of the Arabic language, this might seem acceptable, but it's not to someone who has a better understanding of the Arabic language. So someone who has full technical understanding and has much more fluency and understanding, he'll be able to show that this is not acceptable, not correct. So as a beginner student, it may seem difficult to apply these signs. As you learn more and more Arabic in your study, continue your studies, you will see, inshallah, how these signs can be applied. Then we go to the next page. Bab al-i'rab, chapter of al-i'rab. We'll stop there today for the first lesson, inshallah. We will continue from Bab al-i'rab in the next lesson. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.